Hey everybody, it's Brooke of Rock the Stage Fitness, and I'm so excited to have you back with me on the podcast today because this guest, Kleo Torres, who is a former Miss DC, is such a doll. And today you're going to be really just inspired by her story. But I'm so excited again for you to be here because this podcast is designed to inspire girls who are on this journey of fitness, whether it be in pageantry, which is typically my clientele, or modeling or just in life. You're going to get some answers today that I think you may have been searching for. So, welcome. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest, who is a rising star whose grace, brilliance, and authenticity are impossible to ignore. Kleo placed top 20 at Miss USA as Miss District of Columbia, USA, a proud HBCU alumni and a passionate advocate for education, culture, and representation. She's captured the hearts of DC through her elegance, her warmth, and her ability to move with confidence and purpose in every space she enters. She's been featured across the DMV media landscape, from DC News Now to platforms celebrating her as a standout HBCU graduate, and she carries her crown with both humility and fire. And I've had the joy of supporting her fitness prep through Rock the Stage as she stepped into this incredible moment along with PR pageant coaches. I'm so excited to welcome the beautiful and brilliant Kleo Torres to the show today. Welcome, Kleo.
Woo! Thank you for having me, Brooke. That was a great bio. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Awesome. Well, maybe you will need it for what is next, right? All right. So just to have some little fun and interaction, I want to start first with what brings you joy these days? What's making you laugh?
Definitely my friends and my community, my family, my loved ones. When I was actually passing on the title of Miss DCUSA, they like asked me what's next. And I realized that in a lot of pageants, they
Yeah.
typically ask the outgoing queen, like, what's next?
Yeah.
And I usually would have an answer. And I did have an answer. I could have gave them a very specific answer, but
Mhm.
I just wanted to say I want to spend time with my friends and my family. Like
Oh,
that's all I wanted to do because
yeah.
they poured so much into me, into this very, very long journey of me competing over and over again to win.
Right.
And, it came with like sacrifices and missing birthdays and trips and
Mhm.
events and not being able to like travel as often. And I just wanted to be around them
Yeah.
and like give back to them, whether it's just like my presence or just whatever, a good laugh.
Yeah.
And they never fail to have me.
Deliver.
They never fail to deliver. Exactly. I love them. Yeah.
Yes. Friends and family are so crucial.
Hmm.
And sometimes we can get so caught up in our own world that we forget that,
Yeah.
right? But I love that because we always talk about making time for what makes you happy.
Hmm.
And friends and family, if they're really, really good ones, even if you may not have, a lot, like the few that you do have, hopefully will make you laugh and just remember, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, awesome. So what's one thing that most people would be surprised to learn about you outside of the pageant world?
Well, one, I ran track in college, and I think
Yes.
a lot of people don't know that, even though that was like a really huge identity of
Yeah.
mine that I tried to
Uh-huh.
like escape at one point because I feel like only people knew me like in high school and in college is like the girl that ran track. Like I remember this girl like referred to me as the girl with the curly hair on the track team, and
But yeah.
I was like, you know what, we got some more to that rap sheet, and so now like people know me for other things. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I actually did run track in college. I was an athlete
Uh-huh.
for most of my life before I stepped into pageantry. And then another thing would be like I really, really love water. A lot of people and even a lot of my friends like they don't know how to swim, but I
Yeah.
was swimming since I was like a toddler, and so I've never
Oh,
been afraid of water, the ocean, or anything like that. I actually want to learn how to surf eventually one day.
really? Now that will be cool. If you do, please take us on that journey with you because I would watch every single piece
Oh
of
yeah.
content that you put
I
out. That's awesome.
of course.
So last thing is just whenever you weren't doing appearances or planning events or working or training, what is or was your guilty pleasure?
So I would definitely say like I was the girl in middle school on the bus with like a bag of hot fries at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Like that was definitely me. So I'm still that girl and I definitely Love the Trader Joe's cookie butter ice cream while
Okay.
like binging a show. Typically
Mm,
Scandal. I'm in Washington DC. If you haven't watched Scandal and you live in DC, like that doesn't make sense to me. But like I've rewatched it multiple times.
right. I love that. Oh, because at the end of the day, right, we want this to be a lifestyle, but we know that it's just not perfect.
Hmm.
And while we're in training mode, I'm just like, okay, y'all, you got to really lock in, right? Because we want for every single person that's training to be able to hit these marks. Because
Hmm.
swim is the easiest category, to be honest, to go in completely prepared because you control it. But
Hmm.
on a, every now and then, right? Just as a guilty pleasure.
I try not to do it often.
Right.
I.
Yeah. We want to balance it, but all I'm saying is every now and then, right? We're
Hmm.
human,
Hmm.
and we understand. Okay.
Hmm.
I want to know about your HBCU experience.
Hmm.
So my undergrad is actually from FAM, so I'm also HBCU alum. But I want to know what did that do for you in terms of confidence or worldview as you studied at a HBCU?
So my HBCU was absolutely everything because I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina, and one of the schools that offered me a scholarship to run track was Alabama State, and it was
Oh,
so far I knew nothing about Alabama except maybe like some civil rights movements. And I was like, why would I choose Alabama? But I ended
right.
up touring this school and realized that it was completely different from University of Alabama and realized that, oh, this is actually a HBCU curated for people like me.
Oh,
And it gave me a super Southern hospitality feel. And it just felt like home as soon as I visited. I didn't know much about HBCUs before
yeah.
I went to the actual school. I didn't even
Hmm.
realize that I was at a HBCU. And so when I was going through my experience, I just realized everything was meant for me. I had no barriers because I was around people that looked like me. And I was taught, of course, the same curriculum, but I was also taught how to operate in the outside world as
Yeah.
someone that's a person of color. And it has stayed with me even through me being in the corporate space, even me
Yeah.
being in the pageant world where it was conservative and historically not really meant for, women of my color.
Right.
So it ultimately just taught me how to do life. And
Mm,
it gave me so much confidence to walk
mhm.
into rooms and hold my head high and be
Absolutely.
proud of where I come from. And if I could do it all over again, I would. I have like a younger sister. I'm preparing her for college now, and she already knows HBCU. Let's do
Mm,
it. Like I try to give
mm,
her an option, but she's excited to also go to HBCU. I think it's like imperative for
mm.
like young high schoolers to at least know the foundation of what HBCUs are for.
Yeah. And I too developed a level of confidence. And I think it was because also being around others, you have a few who are not quite as focused. And
Hmm.
that's on every college campus.
Uh-huh.
But then you have some that are, I mean, they were top of their class,
Hmm.
super driven, right? And
Hmm.
intentional about
Hmm.
creating change and leading so well. And I think just being around others who are that way really does something for you on the inside, which I
Hmm.
appreciate.
Hmm.
And let's just kind of talk about that in regards to pageantry now, just kind of crossing over this bridge here. Because I feel like the community of pageant girls, if you are around the right quality girls, can also do something like that deep on the inside of you. Can you just talk about your experience, either as Miss DC and just experiences and being around other girls who are also training or at Miss USA? How did that community aspect play a role in how you did?
It was everything. And I specifically want to say like training with para pageant coaches and then also you, of course, Brooke, in that like gave me that community off
Yeah,
rip. I didn't have to go find it. It just kind of fell into my lap.
yeah,
And that's really one thing I appreciated it because pageants can be really scary. The community can be very, very scary and very tough and very intimidating. And so, being that I had those friendships already developed, I always felt like I had a cheerleader somewhere. And then also, like, I mean, I think Alacia is a great example
mhm.
of one of the friendships that I've built in the DMV area. I mean, we competed against each other, like first time meeting each other, and
Wow.
now we're just just so supportive of one another when we're going through our own endeavors, because we have similar Black backgrounds and we're
Yeah.
chasing similar things, whether it was education or pageantry or whatever it was. But it was comforting to
Yeah.
say the very least to have these type of women in my corner,
Yeah.
regardless if we're on the line to win or lose or compete against each
Mhm.
other. It was always just so pure, and it was
Yeah.
comfortable, and it was something that I feel like really helped me throughout my journey, that made it a lot smoother to have
Yeah.
people to lean on.
Yes. Smoother, more refreshing. I feel
Hmm.
like it's more assuring, right?
Hmm.
Because there's nothing like having your own hype squad. And what I appreciated about even watching Alacia is another podcast guest that you'll be able to meet very soon. But
Hmm.
she's in the America system at this stage. And I'm telling you, just watching you and her just have that friendship of sisterhood is so beautiful. When you won, she was the one who sent me the footage, right? And is screaming as if it's herself, and vice versa. When she was at DC America and then Virginia America, is that correct?
Maryland.
Okay, Maryland. And so when she stepped on stage for both, she was first runner up. But then watching your interaction, right, or your expression of just celebration is so important. And I think sometimes, ladies, those of you who might be tuning in, like in pageantry, doing it with others makes all the difference. It is so special because, yeah, it really does become a sisterhood. Yeah.
It does. It really does. Alicia literally lives like 5 minutes from me.
Okay. Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
back and forth time. And even when I like went to Maryland, America, or really both times, and she was
Mhm.
just so close, but so far from
Yes.
winning, like you feel that pain
Yes.
because you know how deserving someone is,
Yes.
and I'll be there. Let's just
Yes,
be
I
there
love that.
on her head.
Yes, me too. All right, so let's talk about then your backstory because I think, as I mentioned in the green room before coming on, I said to
Mhm.
you, Cleo, your story, like
Yeah.
this is what most girls I think need to hear because I know some are battling whether or not they want to compete.
Hmm.
And I was a part of that process for you when you decided. It wasn't even though I gave perspective, it was your decision that you owned. And so
Hmm.
I just want to know about that decision. Like, tell me about the moment you decided I'm going to compete in this DCU.
Oh my gosh, that was such a tough year.
Yeah,
So it was so many things going on,
yeah,
with the Miss USA system at the time, and then also my personal life that I felt like was pulling me away from competing. And I had been first runner up the year before, and I knew that I was prepared to go into the pageant and give it my all and,
yeah,
take the crown. But I was also thinking about long term Miss USA being like so soon after, and then having to be Miss DC USA for the remainder of the year if I didn't win Miss USA. And
yeah,
so for me, we've had these conversations. I
yeah,
really had to lean on God. Like there was no other being that I could talk to
yeah,
that could steer me another direction but God, because
mhm,
I was just so confused. And I always tell everyone this: I went on a fast. Like, even to this day, if I am confused about something and it is troubling on my spirit, I will fast. And so I only did it for 7 days, and I gave up something, two or three things, whether it was simply like DoorDash or social media
mhm,
or whatever it
yeah,
was, so I could receive the answers that I needed. And it was me reading a scripture of the Bible every day and just really leaning on him because I needed him to tell me something. And I needed him to tell me something really, really fast because
I was
time was
thinking.
and I was so stressed. And I just remember seeing multiple signs that
Mhm,
he was telling me to go along with it, like
yeah,
just to go for it, whether it was like a billboard that had a quote on it that just, I feel like I never saw that billboard before when I was driving down the street, or a commercial that was encouraging, or for instance, like I didn't have a gown, and one of our PR pageant coach's sisters, one of our peer sisters, she actually had already bought the gown that I wanted, and she was just trying to sell it, and she was selling it lower than the retail price because it
Okay.
ended up not, working for her. And that was actually the very last straw
Okay.
when that dress came out of nowhere. I ended up getting it from her, and I was like, this couldn't have been more perfect timing.
Right.
And I was like, I'm gonna run with it. And I remember Brooke, you told me not to rely on, what word did you use? Was it provision? It was a provision. I believe it was provision. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And it was a tough year. A lot of the runner ups were coming back from all different years. But I was
Sure.
like, you know what? Let's put it on the floor. Like, let's do it. And God forbid that I don't win. We're just training to be better, even better next year.
Yes.
I don't mind losing. And so, long story short, when he gave me the steps, he told me, I don't care what anybody says. And when I went with it, I went with it. And when I was crowned, like, I knew I couldn't give any glory to anyone else but him because
Mm,
he told me to do it.
yeah. It was so neat watching it all unfold.
Hmm.
And every week, typically whenever I'm working with girls, we'll meet every single week or every other week just to have touch points, right?
Hmm.
And those touch points for you were making that decision. And so when you finally decided, you're like, it's time. And just watching it all unfold was so beautiful. And again, for girls who might be deciding on what to do, what I appreciated just watching you, Cleo, is I think it birthed something deeper in you. Like it made you better, which is what you kind of just alluded to. And it will always be something that you can talk about. It will always be a story that you'll be able to share. And it will always inspire somebody else. So I just appreciate it so much for you just sharing it here for others also. And I just wanted to ask because that year was a bit, like you already mentioned, tumultuous in the USA system. What kept you inspired?
Yeah, what kept me inspired? I always thought about why I even started pageantry to begin with. And I knew that regardless if I won or if I had the nicest gown or the best social media or the most expensive interview outfit, whatever it was, is that regardless, I was representing a community that needed someone like me to see. And that was always my end goal. That was always the goal that I had stepping in to pageantry. So for me to lose sight of that was a big no-no.
Yeah,
So it was like once I reminded myself that, I was like, girl, you got
yeah,
work to do. You got work
yes,
to do because it's not just about
yes.
you, it's about other people who need you. And
Oh,
that like sealed the deal for me.
yes, yeah. And there's so many wins. There's just so many wins, right? And of course, we want to be able to win the crown. That's the reason ultimately that we're there to be able to have that level of influence. But you can still influence even afterwards. And I love that I saw you still going out to volunteer and serve and talk to girls or just communities and classrooms and such,
Hmm.
even after your reign was over. But anyway, you are inspiration, like I said. And DC is no easy feat, to be honest with you. And the sisterhood of just DC is absolutely beautiful watching so many young women go after this dream and
Hmm.
just do extraordinary things. So we're going to segue in our last few minutes together to talk about your fitness prep. I just wanted to know what was your biggest struggle in regards to preparing for Miss DC and then for Miss USA? Because we stepped it up when it was time for USA. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so overall, I was transitioning from having a track and field mindset
Yeah.
about fitness because I was a student athlete that could eat what I want, get away with a lot of things, and still perform. Because at that point, I'm running around an oval, whereas in pageantry, it's really about your appearance and physique and how you
Yep.
appear on stage. And so that was a learning curve for me. So I would say developing a healthy relationship with food, and then also like cutting back on the champagne,
Yeah.
and definitely from DC to Miss USA, like even when I was training for Miss DC USA, there were That time when I didn't know if I was competing anymore, where I just completely relaxed and fell back. And when I realized I won, I was like, oh, we really have to step this up for Miss USA. So that was really just about mindset and
Yeah.
trusting my training and knowing that if I'm doing everything that I need to do that you told me to do, which was so
Yeah.
cool, that I was going to show up and be ready. And so I think before Miss USA, it was about changing my mind and the
Yeah.
style of training. And then leading up to Miss USA was mindset of trusting you to get me where I need to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
And
well,
you worked. Yeah, you looked amazing. And you worked incredibly hard behind the scenes.
mhm,
Even, I mean, up to DC, yes, but from DC to USA, the time was short. And
mhm,
so, like, we really turned up the fire to be able to get you where you needed to be for a pageant stage. And I had to
mhm,
kind of reiterate what you talked about already, because it is about physique. It's not about, you know, they do not care how fast you can run and they don't care how much you can lift. They want to know that you have this beautiful feminine energy
mhm,
that translates well, and that you're going to have the stamina to handle a very rigorous year,
mhm,
and that you're living that lifestyle. And so there's so many avenues that girls can take, but I
mhm.
trust, ladies, that there is a method to the madness. And if you could just work with someone at least who has some visibility in terms of understanding the female body, it's really going to help you. Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to know what surprised you the most during your transition or transformation of your body.
That everything you told me to do worked because I had went from running, sprinting, lifting weights, heavy weights at that. And it was in my world about how much you could lift and how
Mhm.
fast you could run.
Yep.
And so even when you were telling me that, oh, go on a walk and then do this after, I'm like, girl, is that gonna do anything for me? And then I literally saw my body transforming
Amazing.
into that build that I would see on the
Yep.
mission stage. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
crazy. This is
Yep.
crazy. This is working.
Mhm.
And so that was honestly the most shocking thing that it worked. And I know that you had a science background, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm really working with a professional that knows
Yeah.
my body as a woman, and what she's telling me to do is literally working. And I should have trusted the process a long time ago instead
Yeah.
of doing all of these other things when this was the formula the whole time.
Wow. Oh, that's so good, Cleo. Yeah. Most people, when they come and they start, they're like, I'm so used to doing XYZ. And I said, I completely understand. I come
Hmm.
up from a athletic background as well. So, you want to feel that, right, when you're working
Hmm.
out. And I'm saying, don't worry, that it's going to get intense. But
Hmm.
right now, we need to reset some things, right? And make sure that this body is getting lean so that you can make the cut and really again attain the goal, because it is not what we think it's about. It's really about poise, physique, and you looking the part. And so it was beautiful to watch you just transform literally right before our eyes, and to stay as committed, right? You did a lot even during that time, cleansing, and you were consistent with it. You were just on top of it, especially again when it came to the Miss USA stage, and it paid off. Who can say that they have achieved what you've achieved? Not many. Right?
Hmm.
What advice would you give to another young lady who was considering competing? And what do you hope to leave in terms of a legacy?
So I would definitely say, and it's funny because I just had someone reach out to me, old connection in college, just trying to compete in the Miss USA system that is like trying to figure out her
Yeah.
way. And I
Hmm.
sent her this long voice note of saying, from the beginning, invest into the right people so you're not wasting your time.
Yeah.
Because one thing about it, we have seen so many times in the Miss USA system, girls will come back time and time and time
Hmm.
again, and they haven't necessarily evolved
That's
into the woman that I personally know that they can be, because they haven't invested into the right people. And so if you don't take the shortcuts and you find the professionals that know what they're doing in this business, you will surprise yourself with the results a lot sooner, rather than leaning on to your own understanding and finding out years and years down the road that you should have been working with this person, or you should have been doing this and XYZ. So really just doing your research about the industry and not taking shortcuts, because it's a cutthroat industry if you don't know what you're doing as a newbie. So just doing your research and knowing this is something that you want to do and something that you want to commit to. And I always say, for people that have anxiety or nerves about winning, I love Deshauna Barber. Clearly, she was Miss DCSA, so I'm a little biased. But she talked about not being afraid to lose. Like, I want you to tell me no, because if you tell me no and if you allow me to lose, all I'm going to do is go back to the drawing board and be better than I was last year. And then y'all really have a problem on your hands. And so embracing the journey and not being so caught up in winning, especially at the state level. The Miss USA level is a little bit different because you have one chance, but you have so many chances at the state level to win that even if you are fourth runner up, third runner up, second runner up, first runner up, you get to start all over again. And you get another year to train and be that girl. Like, why wouldn't you want to continue to be that girl even more every single year? I enjoyed that. And that's what I learned about my journey, because even at Miss TCUSA, I was fourth runner up, and then I was first runner up, and then I won. But I enjoyed the journey because I can imagine winning when I was fourth runner up, because we would have had an issue on our hands. I Miss USA. Enjoy the journey. Invest in the right people, of course, but enjoy the journey even if you don't win on the first try, because when you are ready to go to Miss USA, you don't want to have that newbie feel. You know, some women, they win on their first try, kudos to them, and then they even win Miss USA on their second pageant ever, but that's not everyone's story. No. So imagine winning on your first try based off of potential versus being at your actual potential and then going to a bigger stage and not looking as experienced as women that have tried 7 times at their state level and look like a professional on the Miss USA stage. Embrace the losses, because it's going to make the win even that much sweeter.
Oh, what great advice.
I try.
So good. I'm going to advise y'all just needs its own, like, everything, right? It's because most times when girls lose, they're so disheartened and they're just like, oh, they didn't see me or they don't appreciate me. But sometimes it's just life teaching you lessons. And you just have to step up to that game, as Kleo just mentioned, and say, you know what? I'm gonna come back better. And I am embracing this so that I can actually fine tune and figure out what's really inside of me that I haven't discovered yet. So what great advice, Kleo. I have nothing else to say except for thank you for being here. I so appreciate your presence always. And you guys, again, thank you for watching the podcast. This is a new launch, so you'll get to see it evolve over time. But my hope is that you will just be so inspired on your journey, again, in terms of fitness and health and figuring things out. And you'll do it in a way that even after you finish competing, that you can live this lifestyle. And it'll just be something that will be with you for the remainder of your entire life. So grateful to have you. Like, share, subscribe, but also make sure you come back and watch the other ladies who are sharing, as well as watch the replay one more time of Kleo, because there was a lot that was shared that is super valuable on your journey. All right. So thank you all so much. Kleo, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, ladies.